Here's what's coming up in episode 142. Techniques for clearing a space of unwanted energy or spirit visitors.
Welcome to the Big Seance Podcast. I'm Patrick Keller of BigSeance.com, and this is a place for an open discussion on all things paranormal, but specifically topics like ghosts and hauntings, paranormal research, spirit communication, psychics and mediums, and life after death. So basically, anything that pops up in my paranormal world. The candles are already lit, so you might as well come on in and join the seance.
Is there one correct way to clear or cleanse a space of nasty, funky energy or spirit visitors? Of course not. Though, as you'll soon hear, some people are adamant about their technique being the best. But one thing I learned is this is a topic many of us love to inquire about or contribute to. Recently, in our private Facebook group for listeners, the Big Seance Parlor, I asked listeners to give us their favorite ritual to cleanse a space. And man, I got some great responses. I spent some time in my own bookshelves to see what experts had to say about it. And I also received a contribution through our SpeakPipe link and one voicemail. So I'm excited to share those as well. But before we do all of that, let's pour the tea. I am so excited to tell you about what I'm drinking right now because I'm unveiling, or pouring maybe, our very first sponsor for the podcast. So right now I'm drinking an herbal tea called Walk in Balance and produced by Nuwati Herbals, our new sponsor. This specific tea tonight is probably a tea I should be drinking every day during the school year, because it helps to reduce tension. But it also works to alleviate upset stomachs. It contains cinnamon, skullcap, orange peel. Let's go back. Skullcap? I don't even know what skullcap is. I'm sure it's cool. Peppermint, star anise. Don't know what that is. And there's more ingredients beyond that. I have to tell you, I went out and got an infuser and a tea ball. And I've enjoyed trying so many herbal teas over the last few weeks. And I can't wait to share the names of them because they're so perfect for our show. And I can't wait to share some of the others, including one that I completely am fascinated with that has cayenne as an ingredient. For real, y'all. I said cayenne. So stay tuned because a little later in the show, I'm going to share more about Nuwati Herbals and how you can get 15% off your order at nuwatiherbals.com. All right, so back to our topic. Techniques for clearing a space of unwanted energy or spirit visitors. Here's an awesome SpeakPipe message from a listener named Erin.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm recording from Oakland, California. And the various ways that I've used to clear bad energy out of the house is I use the usual burning sage, burning Palo Santo, and using the smoke to getting it all around all the edges of the house. And doing hand movements while you're recording something is kind of silly, but I was just doing that. Anyway, I've also used Palo Santo oil diffused in water and sprayed that all around the house. I've used that for energy work with clients as well to do clearing work. Other clearing work that I've done that you can do is light a candle and imagine that you are moving any of the bad energy with your hands, moving your hands and kind of compacting that bad energy into a small little ball and then releasing it into the candle and brushing your hands off. And that is supposed to dissipate it. Also use selenite wands in that very same way and then running them over the candle afterwards. You can use other crystals as well. Those are the various ways that I've set boundaries with spirit and cleansed house, and it works. Thanks so much. Have a great one. Bye.
And remember Amber Choisella from episode 133? Here's what she had to say.
Hey, Patrick. It's your girl, Amber Choisella. I'm calling from, well, right now I'm in Reno, but originally from Pollock Pines, California. And I'm calling in to talk to you and the listeners about my ritual of clearing energy out of my home. So first of all, I actually really want to give a shout out to one of my other medium friends. Her name is Melissa Lockett. She is in a paranormal group called Spirits that originates from Sacramento, where I'm originally from. So holla, 916. Anyway, and before I attended her clearing workshop, I used to just sage my house whenever I felt like I needed to, or after arguments or people or moving into a new space, I would just sage it. But there's kind of like more than that. After taking Melissa's workshop, she informed me that Palo Santo, follow it up after saging, actually just kind of clears everything, and it leaves a pleasant scent too. I try to do it monthly, and that helps to just kind of like recalibrate. That's not even a word. Recalibrate the energy in the house. As far as like unwanted spirits, I haven't really experienced that. Although we do have a spirit that roams our property. I think actually the land, and he comes in and out, but he doesn't feel like a threat to me. So as long as it's good energy, not threatening energy, I'm all good with that. I don't know anything about like exercising spirits. That was another part of your question. I don't know anything about that because I don't have any personal experience about that, but it's always good to clear out the energy in your home because it stays stagnant. It stays stagnant. It has nowhere to go, and it's just to clear it out. Everything will feel better. Space will feel better. Everything will feel better. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed my feedback, and I look forward to listening to this episode and many more. I love the Big Seance Podcast. Can't even say that right. I'm hoarse. I'm laryngitis. I love the Big Seance Podcast, and I'm one of your biggest fans, Patrick. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Erin and Amber. As I began thinking about this episode and I started doing a bit of research, I remembered that our very first episode of the Big Seance Podcast, which was with my friend Marilyn Painter, who is a psychic medium and spiritual counselor, and it was dealing with lower energies, demons, and possessions. What a topic to approach in a first episode, right? Well, we've come a long way since then, and in about a month, actually, it'll be the 5-year anniversary since that first episode. But here's a look back at some advice from Marilyn.
What are some of the methods and the tools that you recommend for people who might feel that they're affected by these lower energies?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the first thing that I make clear is that I am not a savior, and no one's going to really, it's not their place to fix it for you, because ultimately, if you're the one having the experience or it's your home, it is yours to take care of. And so you have to step into your own power. So what I like to help do is like we said, give these tools, guide you, but you have to do it because it's linked to your thoughts, your beliefs. It's your home. So the very first thing is I let them know is you got to get rid of the fear, because it's in the fear that creates most of the agreements that are happening. And when you're acting out of fear, like let's say, well, I've yelled at it and I've told it to leave and I said it's not welcomed in here. Well, what does that happen? You're yelling because you feel threatened. When we don't feel threatened, we don't yell. We talk nice and calm, right? And so that's a part of fear. So first of all, eliminate the fear. Calm yourself down. Raise your vibration. Now, the second part is know your own power. Know your own power. Know that most of us think that what we don't know or we can't see is more powerful than us. We've been taught that through religion, that they hold the power. They have some kind of mystical power or more power than us. So when you have that thought, then you feel victim, that you feel that stuff can happen to you without even you, like it just happens, like you have no control. So know your own power, because that's not the case. It's only the case if you believe it to be so, because there is no energy more powerful than you, and there is no energy less powerful than you. So when you wrap your head around that concept and you see that there really is nothing to fear, that you are not victim to, then it raises your energy and it wipes away the fear, because you no longer feel threatened because you're confident in yourself. So eliminate the fear, know your own power, that you're just as powerful. Nothing's more powerful or less powerful. And what that does is that creates a thought form that you cannot be harmed. Because as soon as you think you can be harmed, and that comes from a place of powerlessness, that gives permission for it to happen. Let's say that there's a very dark energy lingering within my house, and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to come possess me. It's going to come possess me. It's going to come possess me. Just the thought or saying that is telling it can, because you believe it can. So in that is an agreement. You see? So the belief that it will come is a lowering. So know your own power. The second one is, once you get yourself set that said, okay, well, I'm not a victim. I am very empowered. I can handle this. Nothing's going to happen that I don't want to happen. You take away all the fear that you have. Then sit there and scan where you made that agreement. What did I do, say, or think that gave permission for this energy to affect me in a way that it does? Scan it. It could be, like you said, the hand coming up. If you actually believed when it happened, if your thoughts were, I am now possessed, then it probably would have happened. That's the agreement. Okay. Then once you find where the agreement is, just the mere thought that it is going to affect me, it is going to haunt my house for the rest of my life. It's going to ruin my life. It's going to wreak havoc. My house can't sell now. And once you think about that, then you create that, and it's given it permission then to do all that to you. So find out where you made the agreement. Once you find out where you made that agreement, then break it. Put it in void. Cancel it. Okay? Change the thought form. That's how you break it. That's how you break the agreement. It's just like breaking up in a relationship, Once you find out that I used to be invested in the relationship, but it's just not quite working out for me, then you break up, okay? And some don't believe they have the power to do that. And see, again, there comes power. I'm powerless. I can't say I'll break up. So then a lot of people try and they start yelling at the spirit and saying, I want you gone out here. But living in the fear and the voice is still, the spirit says, she's still afraid of me. She still must think then I have the ability to do whatever I'm doing. So I'm going to stay. So how do you break the agreement? You break the agreement by being very neutral, staying in your peace, staying in your power, staying in your light, very calmly say that I break our agreement. It's void. You no longer can occupy the home. Thank you, for this experience, but it ends right now. And you let go. Now, most people, when it happens, because you're saying it out of love, okay? You're saying it out of love. Your children don't listen to you when you're yelling and screaming at them, but they do. People do listen when you're talking calmly and you're speaking from the heart. So if you look at it as a relationship that you're not fearful, it just happens that the relationship you're in is one has a physical body, which is you, and the other one doesn't. That's all. But it's a relationship. And so you sit and you talk calmly and you say, break the agreement. I break up with you. So break up with them. Now, What happens? What happens when you break up? Oh, sometimes breakups go smoothly and sometimes they don't. Sometimes people don't want to go. They kick and they scream. They do all kinds of things to try and salvage and save the relationship. Well, that's when I call, the spirits start acting up more. They start doing more. They start slamming doors more. They start influencing your lives more. It almost like, so then what do you think? Oh, these methods don't work. You see what I'm saying? You start thinking it. Oh, this doesn't work, And then when you say it doesn't work, then what you're doing is then you're making an agreement that, well, they don't work, so you can now affect me. You see, you just got to hang in there with it. You got to, it's tolerance. It's standing your ground. It's testing. It's trying to woo you again. Do you see how the cycle starts again? It's trying to woo you again when the activity then increases. Hang in there and it'll get tired. Stand your ground. Stay centered, stay fearless, know your power, keep your energy up, speak from love, and it's not going to want to be there anymore because it's no longer fun or it's no longer, you're not a viable, they have a reason they do what they do, okay? They have an agenda, they have a goal. Just like everything you do, you have an agenda, you have a goal.
So you say, go throw your pouty fit and I'm just going to go finish the laundry. Yeah.
Go.
Just like you would with a kid.
Just like a relationship. If we take away the fear and look at it like a relationship, and it's kind of a new concept. I mean, people say, well, I don't have a relationship with spirit. It's got to be demonic. It's got to be negative. It's got to be so threatening and life-threatening to me. It's very different than my fear. It's causing havoc. It's like an intruder. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to agree to that. So if you look at it, change your perspective. A lot of things that people go into suffering and it makes their world heavy is the perspective that they keep and how they see their world and their reality, where the same thing could be happening to another person, but their perspective is different and they see it at different angles, would not be suffering. So change your perspective. Treat it like a relationship with kindness and be firm and say, okay, we're done. Go on. Sometimes people call higher energies in, higher spiritual energies in, like Archangel Michael and his legion. And, invoke help. It's just, when you're having a relationship and you're having someone that just can't say no, you call in your girlfriends, you call in your guy friends, you gather your team, you get help, you get support. And so, absolutely, I support, I believe that there are very strong light beings that are here to help. But unless you ask, you've got to ask, because here in this world and in our existence is our own playground, and we create our own reality. And so without permission and without asking, intervention does not step forth, because it is your playground and your experience and your learning experience. Sometimes you need to get support. Just like we call our families in time of need and say, hey, can you help me out here? But you're not going to do it for me. We're going to do it together. And that's one thing too, because, having someone do it for you is an energy of powerlessness within yourself. Like you can't do it. You're weak, you're victim, you don't know, you're not powerful enough. When you're asking someone to step forward and do it for you. Do you see that?
Yeah. So Hollywood has basically, led us to believe that we have no power in these situations.
Yes.
Which then, affects
which makes
us in the real movie. World. Yeah.
Where's the, you gotta have, the bad that happens.
the climax of the activity.
I hope you enjoyed that trip back into time. You can find more about Marilyn Painter at psychicquests.com. And I'm going to put that link to the first episode in the show notes. One of the books I knew I'd be referencing today is a book I've used with clients in the past when I was out investigating. It's called The Ghost Hunter's Survival Guide, Protection Techniques for Encounters with the Paranormal by Michelle Belanger. I really kind of hate the title, but it's a great book. Often, even if people didn't want an investigation, they simply wanted to ask a few questions or just wanted someone to listen to them. So this was a resource I suggested to several people who reached out to me and my team. In it, Michelle gives these steps for a basic cleansing. 1. Ground, center, and shield so you can start in a good place with your own energy. 2. Call energy into your hands so you can better interact with the energy of the space. 3. Move through the house from top to bottom and back to front. 4. Sweep through each room, starting farthest away from the main entrance, then sweeping energy out of the room through that entrance. 5. Cleanse individual rooms, then work on common and connecting areas like hallways and stairs. Give special attention to areas that seem especially dark, heavy, or stagnant. And 6. Finish at the front door to the house and sweep everything outside, focusing on improving energy flow. Here's one that I remember reading about where you imagine a bubble around a space or home for protection. 1. Ground, center, and shield. 2. Focus internally on your energy and gather your power. You may also connect to your higher power for assistance. 3. Go to a central location in the home, preferably on the ground floor. 4. Close your eyes and imagine that you are the focal point of a whirling sphere of brilliant force. You may envision this force as light, fire, or even a kind of tidal wave, but be certain to think not only of energy, but also of force. 5. Focus on this sphere of force and envision it expanding wider and wider. The edges of this sphere are powerful and impenetrable. They push everything out with them, including any spirits left in the home. 6. Vividly imagine the edges of this sphere thundering through the house like a tidal wave of power. Everything is swept before them. Nothing can stand in the way. 7. Envision the sphere of force continuing to expand until it encompasses the whole house. Then push it even further so the edges expand at least 10 feet beyond the house on all sides. 8. Anchor this sphere of force to the ground beneath your feet. You may find it helpful to focus this action with a physical gesture, such as pressing your palm against the floor. 9. Imagine the sphere of force holding everything on the outside. Nothing may re-enter the home. Follow this up immediately by warding the home. Another classic I pulled off my shelf was Loyd Auerbach's Ghost Hunting: How to Investigate the Paranormal. In it, he talks about using magnets from the book. I have successfully used magnets to eliminate the anomalous readings on detection devices, which I take as evidence of having cleansed the energy. Small but powerful, rare earth magnets are available from Radio Shack and a variety of internet sources. These can be placed in the locations where the hauntings occur. I've had success using a powerful electromagnet such as a video audio tape eraser, also known as a bulk tape eraser, to disrupt anomalous magnetic fields as measured by detection devices. Here again, more than one application is sometimes necessary. I don't know why this works, but then I don't know where anomalous magnetic fields come from either. Perhaps these techniques have a placebo effect. Regardless, they do work. Other rituals, such as using sound and light devices, can be effective, also possibly a result of the placebo effect. With medical placebos, believing the treatment is effective seems to be the critical variable. Similarly, when witnesses believe the haunting is over, unconscious processes seem to make sure this is the case and the experiences cease. And here he talks about banishing rituals. Banishing rituals can often be effective, but should be used only after exploring the client's beliefs. When the folks believe in the ritual's power and it is compatible with their religious views, it is likely to yield a positive effect. Even when a banishing ritual is effective in resolving the case, follow-up counseling should be considered. Misguided use of banishing rituals can sometimes cause the phenomena to escalate. In a poltergeist case, a religious rite could cause the agent's subconscious to decide it has to prove that the ritual is ineffective, and the RSPK, which stands for recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, by the way, the RSPK can increase as a result. If the investigator suggests, even unwittingly, that the agent is possessed, the agent could perceive the ritual as directed against him or her, which could dramatically increase poltergeist activity. On the other hand, in apparition cases, there are two sides to every interaction. A banishing ritual could cause the witness to shut down perceptions of the ghost, but the apparition might still be present and perceived by others. On the other hand, if the apparition believes in the ritual's effectiveness, enacting it may scare him off.
You're listening to the Big Seance Podcast with Patrick Keller. Be sure to check out BigSeance.com for more discussion.
This episode of the Big Seance Podcast has been sponsored by Nuwati Herbals, a family-owned business operated in the St. Louis, Missouri area since 2002. The Cherokee people have a word for universal energy. That word is Nuwati. Rod Jackson is the founder of Nuwati and has personally developed their products from recipes influenced by his Cherokee ancestors. The Nuwati line consists of natural herbal products designed to actually do something. They promote healing, healthy skin, relaxation, and energy. They produce 4 lead product lines: herbal teas, herbal bath salts and scrubs, herbal bath bags, and herbal balms and body oils. They also have soaps, natural insect repellent, and a line of pet products. Nuwati has been featured at numerous red carpet events at the Grammy Awards, the Teen Choice Awards, the Oscars, the Emmys, and the Screen Actors Guild Annual Health Fair. Visit NuwatiHerbals.com and use code BIGSEANCE, all one word, to receive 15% off your Nuwati Herbals order as a thank you. Again, that's NuwatiHerbals.com, and Nuwati is Nuwati.
Thanks for joining us for the Big Seance Podcast. We'd better get back to the table while there's still some candlelight left.
One of my favorite guests was Guy Lyon Playfair, the man responsible for everything we know about the Enfield Poltergeist. Unfortunately, we lost Mr. Playfair a little more than a year ago. In his book, This House is Haunted, The Amazing Inside Story of the Enfield Poltergeist, he included a segment called What to Do with Your Poltergeist. Here's some of what he had to say in that segment. The first thing to do if a poltergeist invades your house is not to panic. It is not the end of the world. It may not always be easy, but it is essential as poltergeists seem to feed on fear, anxiety, and tension. Nothing truly awful is likely to happen, and it is most unlikely that you and your children are possessed by demons. It will help if you take an objective interest in what happens, noting incidents and photographing or recording them when possible, while not giving the poltergeist any more attention than you have to, since attention is another of its staple diets. The next thing to do is to identify the epicenter person, who is usually the one nearest the action. Often, but not always, this will be a boy or girl around the age of puberty, and as an emergency measure, the epicenter should be separated from the rest of the family. Then you must try to get to the cause of the trouble. This is best done by a psychiatrist who should examine the whole family. Doing nothing or refusing even to face the problem, as has happened at Enfield, is a serious dereliction of duty. If, as is more than likely, you cannot find a psychiatrist who has the faintest idea what to do, there is no harm in appealing to a minister of religion, a counselor, or a medium, provided the latter is recommended by someone you trust. As for the exorcism, I personally will have nothing to do with it. All too often, it has made things worse, as in The Exorcist, which was based on a true case, even leading to the death of the victim, as in the appalling Anneliese Michel case in Germany. I'm not sure if I said the last name right. As Mark Kramer puts it, exorcism can be deliverance, not from, but into evil. It should not be confused with the intercession as practiced by some Anglicans, in which much seems to depend on the personality of the practitioner. The late Canon John Pierce Higgins was particularly skilled at this, sometimes working in collaboration with medium Ina Twig. He put an immediate stop to a case I investigated in Rotherhithe in 1975. And I must point out that this book was written quite a few years ago, so that may or may not be an important thing to note. Chip Coffey brought up several techniques in his book, Growing Up Psychic, My Story of Not Just Surviving, but Thriving, and How Others Like Me Can Too. He says, for me, saging is a necessary part of my spiritual house cleaning, just like vacuuming and washing the floors. Once I have my sage stick producing a healthy plume of smoke, I walk around the room while circling the smudge stick in an anti-clockwise direction. I even use my other hand to waft the sage smoke into corners, cupboards, and stairwells, any place where negative energy can linger or hide. Keep in mind that once negative energy shifts, it needs somewhere to escape, so make sure you leave windows and doors open while saging. That way, fresh, clean air can rush in to restore a positive balance. Saging is an extremely powerful psychic protection and cleansing technique. You can use sage smoke to spiritually house clean, dispel low vibration energy, clear toxic energy, and protect yourself against psychic attack. I regularly circle sage smoke around my body, my reading room, and the inside of my home for this very reason. One friend of mine keeps a small drawstring pouch filled with dried white sage leaves in her handbag to act as a protective talisman. Another friend places a protective crystal in her sage pouch and hangs it on the inside door handle of her baby's room. He later says, in addition to teaching me hand clapping to shift energy, the Buddhist monk I met also kindly presented me with a miniature set of brass prayer bells. Like sage smoke, prayer bells raise the energy vibration within a room. Their ringing resonates at a frequency proven to drive out low vibration or toxic energy. I often ring my prayer bells before and after meditation. He also says here are a few protective mechanisms that have proved to be powerful over time. Smudging. This is a Native American ritual using sage or sweetgrass. It's done in honor of the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. The sage or sweetgrass represents earth. Lighting it represents fire. Fanning the smoke with a bird feather represents air. Storing the sage in a shell taken from the sea represents water. If you are smudging your house or property, you need to remember to do it in all areas, including the basement, the attic, and the closets, and all four corners facing in all four directions: east, west, north, and south. Blessed sacred objects. Many people use iconic religious objects such as crosses or religious medals, a chai, or a Star of David, a Hand of Fatima, an Ankh, or an Eye of Horus. I'm going to be embarrassed if I missed a lot of those. To protect against evil spirits, Native Americans will often wear a medicine bag around their neck. Some people wear or carry crystals. Some, for example, wear jewelry made of hematite, a mineral with magnetic properties to absorb negative energies. And in parentheses, he says, I wear blessed holy medals at all times, which drove the sound technicians crazy when we were filming Psychic Kids, until they figured out they could tape them together so that they didn't clink when I was mic'd. Creating a protective circle. Some people encircle their property with salt, which has been used for centuries as a protective element, or with holy water. If I had a Native American name, it would probably be Travels with Holy Water, because I never leave home without it. Mary Ann Winkowski is a medium whose work is the basis for CBS's Ghost Whisperer series. I so miss that series, by the way. I own every episode on DVD. Well, Mary Ann wrote a book called When Ghosts Speak, Understanding the World of Earthbound Spirits. Speaking of Chip's holy water comments, you might be interested to know that in a section on cautions, she warned against the use of holy water. She writes, "Don't touch the holy water. Since I'm on the topic of cautions here, I want to offer a huge one. Do not, under any circumstances, think that you can dispel a ghost by throwing holy water around. If you are a layperson, you should not be determining how to use something meant for a blessing in another kind of service. This sort of disrespectful behavior really ticks spirits off. If you have an ordained minister or a priest visit you to offer a blessing, that's one thing. If you as a layperson just start sprinkling the holy water around, you are simply asking for trouble. I have seen spirits become so enraged that they will use their energy to break things, move things, and otherwise display as much of a physical presence as possible. These are the kinds of situations that are often referred to as hauntings." Here are some of the techniques that Mary Ann Winkowski recommends. White light. Everyone can and should learn how to create the white light of protection. People who practice metaphysical arts, who work with energy-based healing such as Reiki, or even those who meditate or do yoga, are usually familiar with using white light in their practices to help them feel protected, promote healing, and bring focus. Even for me, the white light is not simply a way to release earthbound spirits. I visualize a protective white light around myself and around my family whenever we travel. I use white light for extra protection when I enter a hospital or undergo medical procedures. The universe provides this positive energy, and everyone should learn to access and use it. Being able to visualize and send white light to someone is similar to sending a prayer or a good thought in their direction. Sea salt. One of the most effective ways to remove negative energy and weaken the attachment of an earthbound spirit to an object is to cleanse the object with sea salt. If you are an avid tag sale or yard sale shopper, or love to buy or collect antiques, be sure to carry a container of sea salt when you go shopping. Before putting an item in your cart, sprinkle it with sea salt. There's no need to make it look like a beach. A little goes a long way. People who work in places where they have a high likelihood of bringing ghosts home with them should add a handful of sea salt to the final rinse when they wash their clothes. Or you may prefer to fill a misting bottle with water and a couple of tablespoons of sea salt. Before walking out the door, mist the air in front of you and walk through the spray. Sea salt can be used to protect your property or the outside of your home. Sprinkle some around the perimeter of your yard or put it around the foundation of the house. Some people use sea salt in their office or workplaces. Use a little sea salt around your desk or cubicle about once a week. You may also want to take a little sea salt with you when you travel. A thin line of sea salt in a hotel doorway can offer extra protection. Using sea salt like this might not be enough to stop a determined ghost from getting onto your property or into your space, but an earthbound spirit will think twice about crossing such a boundary. People who do metaphysical work need to be particularly careful not to pass along negative energy from one client to another. Card readers, for example, should always have 2 or more decks of cards so that they can regularly clean their decks. If someone has been negative or had a negative reading, a second person can pick up this energy by touching the cards. The same type of cleansing is important for anyone who does healing work, such as massage with stones or energy work with crystals. To clean your items, simply put those that have been used to touch clients in Ziploc bags filled with sea salt. For the most potent cleansing, leave the bags out overnight around the time of a full moon. Do not worry if you're unable to leave the objects in the moonlight. The sea salt alone will do the job. There are different theories as to why sea salt is such an effective block against negative energy. One is that as a crystalline substance, it is able to receive etheric or spirit energy and hold off certain vibrations. Another theory points to the fact that it is not processed the way table salt is. Others suggest that the connection between the sea and the lost city of Atlantis, whose citizens were protectors and warriors, may explain sea salt's powers. Once you have used sea salt to absorb negative energies and create a barrier against the earthbound spirits, be sure to dispose of it carefully. Do not throw it out in your yard or pour it down your drain. Take it off your property and leave it in a deserted area or pour it down a sewer or storm drain. Quince seeds. As I've said before, I'm not sure why quince seeds, I'm assuming I'm saying that correctly. I hope I am. I'm not sure why quince seeds work for me, but they certainly do. The quince is a fruit related to the apple and pear. It has been cultivated since early Roman times and is grown by my family in the little village in Italy where my grandmother grew up. When my grandmother took me to clear houses, she'd put one of these little brown seeds over every doorway in the house once I told her that the ghosts had gone into the light. Her relatives in Italy sent her a fresh supply every so often, and now they send the seeds to me. Of course, simply buying some quinces at your local supermarket, taking out the seeds, and slapping them up around your house will not do a thing. Like any talisman or charm, the quince seeds need to be energized to offer this specific protection. I still don't know how my relatives energize the seeds to discourage ghosts from entering houses, but I continue to have faith in their power to keep earthbound spirits at a distance. If you are not sure whether or not your home is free of ghosts, you can keep a quince seed or other energized item on your person to hold earthbound spirits at a distance. When I work with people in professions that tend to attract earthbound spirits, nurses, doctors, police officers, bartenders, I give them energized quince seeds, instructing them to carry the seeds whenever they go to work or to a spot likely to host earthbound spirits. Having a quince seed or other energized item with you will prevent a ghost from attaching to you and following you home. It is very important that you do not put these quince seeds up in your home unless you are 100% sure that your house is free of earthbound spirits. If you put the seeds over doorways while ghosts are in the house, those ghosts will become trapped. And believe me, you don't want an unhappy earthbound spirit stuck in your home. Smudge stick. Another simple technique for removing negative energy and reducing the effects of earthbound spirits in your home or business environment is to cleanse the atmosphere with a smudge stick. These are bundles of herbs such as sage or sweetgrass that generate a lot of smoke when burned and have a very distinctive odor. Light the smudge stick using a candle or a match and gently blow out the flame so the stick is still smoking. Keep a tray or bowl under the smudge stick so ash and cinders do not fall to the floor as you use it. Walk around your house from the highest floor to the lowest, waving the smudge stick around the perimeter of all the rooms. Make sure that you have allowed enough time to smudge the entire house in one session. Keep all windows closed and leave them closed for at least 1 hour after you've finished the house. Start in the attic, if you can, and end in your basement. If you have an attached garage, don't forget to smudge there. Be sure to smudge behind doors, in corners, in closets, and in cabinets. If the smudge stick goes out, and it will if there's a lot of negative energy in the house, relight it, and continue smudging from the spot where it first went out. You can also fan the smoke so that it surrounds your body. Make sure that it touches all parts of you. When you are finished, place the smudge stick in a fireproof container filled with sand. Also, be sure that the smudge stick is fully extinguished before leaving the room where it is stored. To get a sense of how effective smudging is for you, be sure to mark your smudging date on a calendar. That's interesting. That's a good tip. At first, it may be only 5 or 6 days before you realize that negative energy seems to be returning or that the ghost in your house is becoming active again. As soon as you notice either of these things, smudge immediately. Again, mark your calendar. Pay close attention to how long it takes before the activity begins again. The more regular you are with smudging, the longer you will be able to go between treatments. Depending on how much of a foothold ghosts have or how negative their energy is, you may end up having to smudge only once a month or less. If you smudge on a regular basis and there are ghosts in your home, even ghosts who've been there for a while, you can make them leave. They'll eventually get sick of feeling lethargic and will leave to seek a place where they can get more energy. It's really a question of being persistent and waiting them out. If you have small children or anyone with breathing problems, such as asthma, make sure they are out of the house while you smudge. Wait until the smoke has fully cleared before you bring them back home. Blessings. It is never a bad idea to ask an ordained minister, priest, shaman, or other experienced religious leader to visit your home and bless it. The positive energy from such a blessing can help counteract the effects of an earthbound spirit in the home. Other forms of protection. The items and rituals I've listed above are those that have always worked for me personally. I haven't had to try others, and as long as the ones I use keep working, I don't see the need to. Nevertheless, different people use all kinds of things to diminish negative energy. If it works for you, you should do it. Think of ridding your house of this harmful energy as a process of trial and error. Here are some other suggestions that you might like to try. Marigolds. Stringing a garland of marigolds across a doorway is said to help keep earthbound spirits away from a home. Pick the marigolds at noon, dry them, then string them over the tops of the doorways. They can also be dried and burned as incense. Cypress. Known as the tree of death, cypress wood is used for protection. Geraniums. Dry the flowers and make sachets to put in corners and basements. Sachets, I don't even know. Myrrh. The oil of this tree has been used for centuries to offer protection. You can find myrrh in oil or incense forms. If you feel that there is negative energy in your home, smudge the rooms with a stick of incense made from myrrh. Rosemary. Used for cleansing, often in combination with sea salt. Rowan wood, also known as mountain ash. I have used this protective wood in children's rooms. You can break small twigs off a tree, be careful because the berries are very poisonous, and form them into a small cross. Bind the cross together with red yarn or thread. This age-old protective amulet can be carried with you. It's also particularly effective when hung in the doorway of a child's room. Tobacco. Shredded tobacco leaves, not the processed kind of tobacco found in cigarettes, can be scattered around the corners of your property to offer protection. Be careful that children and pets do not ingest it. Violets. These beautiful purple and white flowers are very good for cleansing and protecting. You can iron a flower between sheets of wax paper and carry it in your purse or wallet for protection. In episode 10 of the Big Seance Podcast, Janice Carlson was on the show discussing her book, Soul Sensing: How to Communicate with Your Dead Loved Ones. In the book, she leaves readers with the following steps for a sage burning ceremony. 1. Get a handful of loose, ceremonial, not commercial, white sage, an earthenware container with a handle, and a box of matches. 2. Shut off all noises and distractions in the space you wish to clear. Turn off communication devices such as televisions, radios, iPads, and cell phones so you can concentrate fully on the ceremony. 3. Remove all clutter from a table or desktop so you can use it to put the sage in the earthen container and light fire to it. As the sage begins to burn, take a deep breath. While you slowly release it, clear your mind of all negative thoughts and picture a positive outcome to your cleansing ceremony. If you are not conducting this ceremony alone, make sure all participants are optimistic about its outcome. No skepticism or negative remarks should be allowed. Also, this ceremony should not include babies or small children since smoke is involved. 4. As the smoke from the sage begins to rise, pick up the earthen container by its handle and use your free hand to fan the smoke outward to all corners of each room you walk through. 5. Envision yourself and all other participants being surrounded by a protective golden light. 6. Say a prayer out loud that asks God or the universe for purification and protection. Keep repeating this prayer in a normal speaking voice while you move from room to room. 7. Direct the smoke towards each of the walls and around the frames of all doors and windows. Then, in each doorway, gently wave the container in a zigzag pattern from an upward position to a downward one. Safety precautions. Do not leave the burning sage unattended. Do not inhale the smoke directly. Ceremonial sage should not be consumed. Do not eat it or use it in food. And this brings me to the techniques and rituals submitted by you, the listeners. Denise Sia says, I use the Tingshaw symbols. Striking them together right before I cleanse an area makes the cleanse go smoother. It rids blockages and residues, also great before I do any spirit communication. Nate says, how funny. I just had an experience a couple nights ago that was more powerful than I had experienced yet. It was quite heavy and very, very cold. That lasted in waves for over 2 hours. I spoke out loud, respectfully, but not rude. Spirit, we sense your presence here. You're scaring my child, children, me. You do not have permission or bondage with them or us. I'm asking you to leave and do not return. Thank you. Then they prayed the Lord's Prayer out loud until the chill left. He says, I was seriously just about to ask and post that question. Synchronicity. Bianca says, I smudge my house with Palo Santo after physically cleaning my place. I open all of the doors and windows, sing and play music that makes me feel happy, and just dance with the smoke. It's a very freeing, hippie way of doing things, but I have never felt uncomfortable in my home. I feel safe in my space, so I feel as if it works. Victoria says, cleansing isn't a joke, fun, or exciting. You have to be in the right space before you even attempt to do anything. There are many ways to cleanse. Before you enter a home to cleanse negative energy, you have to ground and cleanse yourself. Smudge yourself with sage while saying a personal prayer, something that is meaningful to you. I don't pray, but I think that's the closest word I can think of that makes sense. Call on your ancestors for guidance and protection. If you feel anything drawing you outside the home, take care of it. Smudge the area with sage, pray to your ancestors, leave tobacco. You cleanse a home starting in the east, going clockwise, bottom floor up. You move through the home praying, silently, with intent, while saging high and low. If you feel an area with high negative energy, look for the source. There's probably a source. If it's an item, take more time to smudge. If the feeling is very bad, speak to the owner about them removing the item from the home and burying it with tobacco. Continue through the space. Place offerings of tobacco at doors and windows. Follow your sage with sweetgrass to invite positive spirit. Always have respect. Never provoke. If something isn't bothering you, leave it alone, and share your space. When you complete your cleanse, smudge yourself again, pray, and thank your ancestors. If you have relatives to cleanse with you, it feels very powerful. Kristen says, I did one once that involves slamming a door 3 times while shouting, out, 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 then placed 1 copper penny pre-1982, heads up in each corner of the room. The spirit was pretty noisy, not evil. It seemed to work. It was cathartic and fun, but not quite as peaceful as saging, I guess. Sonia says, I love clearing my house by burning white sage. But after the time I smoked my house out so much that my poor cat Ghost lost her voice for 2 days, I've been put in a white sage ban. Oops. So I had to get creative. I have a spray bottle I keep with black tourmaline for protection and to clear away the negativity. Blue lace agate to calm anxiety and keep communication clear. Rose quartz for the love and clear quartz to amplify. I also add some salt to purify and cleanse. So I walk around the house and spray on each room. I'll say something like, I clear this room and this house of any uninvited negative energies and entities. This is my house and you are not welcome. When the doors open, you will leave and do not come back. This elixir I am spraying will clear the air and bring love, calm, and protection to those in this house. I walk through the house repeating that in each room. Then I open the doors and demand it leaves. I then walk through the house with incense or a little white sage, then leave the incense burning at the front and back door. When I need to amp things up, I will put a row of salt at the front and back of the house. As an ongoing protection, when I leave the house or come home, I like to say this is my house, and I envision a dome of protection over my whole house. I feel that intention alone helps to solidify that the unwanted guests are not welcome. If I just need to lift the energy, I spray my spray bottle throughout the house. Oh, and I forgot that I have 2 meaty chunks of black tourmaline and clear quartz in each corner of my property for protection. I planted these when I first moved in, and they have followed me from previous houses I have lived in. I always carry crystals, different ones for different days. My bra usually being a great carrier for said crystals, and I have recently started making my own Van oil. And in the mornings before work, I put a drop in my palms, take a few deep inhales, and use that to protect myself and my aura. Vivienne says, occasionally our team attempts to cross over spirits in this manner. We have candles in 9 places. We place a small boat that has holy water on it on the floor. Each candle is lit in order. The spirits are then asked to follow the light to the other side where relatives there are waiting. We also use a bell and ring it 4 times during this ritual while reciting the prayer or request. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope this serves as a resource for you, and I enjoyed hearing about all of them. Though I'm not an expert, I would think that cleansing your home or space for whatever reason can be as detailed or as personalized as you want it to be. I also don't think there's anything wrong with having a little bit of fun with it. Thank you to the following super paranerds for supporting the show at patreon.com/BigSeance. Genesis, Diana Loyd, Natalie, Sonia B, Kim Robb, Jim Budd, Josiel Lorenzo, Susan Davey, Paula Mitchell, and Amy Park Gedicke. My supporters at the Parlor guest level, who can be found at bigseance.com/parlorguests, are Linda of shimmeringmoons.com, Denise Sia of Mystic Moms Paranormal, Joni Kuntz, Sylvie, Jeffrey Peck, Dina DeCastro of Dina DeCastro Astrology, Peggy Hagen, Marion Hover Clairvoyant, Bruce Williams, Christopher Kohler, Lana and John of Carbon Lilies, Anna Frias, Norman and Linda Keller, and Karen Prine. That sound you just heard was the above and beyond. There's not even a category for your level of support fireworks display. Because I have an awesome listener, Jackie Pacheco, who supports the show at the $10 level. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Paranerds.
For show notes, including links to anything we may have mentioned in this episode, visit BigSeance.com. You can find and subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and just about anywhere podcasts are found. Do you have any comments or feedback? Go to BigSeance.com/feedback to learn how to get your voice in a future show. Or you can call my feedback line, 7755-TELL-ME. That's 775-583-5563. Interested in learning how to promote and share the podcast? Go to BigSeance.com/share. Thank you so much for listening. Unfortunately, it's time to blow the candles out, but we'll see you and light them again next time.